What if the thing you fear the most, uncertainty, is actually the key to your freedom? In this chapter, we'll explore why the unknown isn't your enemy, but your greatest teacher. It's time to stop resisting the chaos and start embracing the possibilities. Chapter 1: The Illusion of Control. We spend most of our lives trying to control everything around us. We try to control the way people see us. We try to control the outcomes of situations. We try to control our emotions, our environment, our future. It's almost instinctive, this desire to hold the reins. We believe that control keeps us safe. That if we just plan ahead, work harder, stay alert, we can avoid pain, avoid failure, avoid uncertainty. But here's the truth: control is not real. It's an illusion. And the more we chase it, the more we suffer. How many times have you tried to force something to go your way, only to end up exhausted, frustrated, and disappointed? How many moments have you spent obsessing over what might happen, what should happen, instead of simply being present with what is? The need for control doesn't protect us. It isolates us. It drains our energy, keeps us locked in a constant state of tension. The irony is that in trying to control everything, we lose control of the only thing that's ever really been ours, our inner state. Let's be honest, control feels good. It gives us structure. It gives us clarity. We like to know what's coming next. We like predictability. We like answers. And when we don't have them, we feel anxious. We worry. We overthink. We try to fill in the gaps. Because uncertainty feels like danger. Because unpredictability feels like vulnerability. But is it really danger? Or is it simply life doing what life has always done? Changing, evolving, moving without our permission? You see, control is comforting, but it's also limiting. When you believe you have to control everything, you stop trusting life. You stop flowing. You stop growing. Because growth only happens when we step outside of what we can predict. Healing only happens when we stop resisting what's uncomfortable. And true peace only arrives when we stop fighting what we cannot change. Let's talk about what control actually costs us. When we try to control outcomes, we create expectations. And when those expectations aren't met, we suffer. Not because life hurt us, but because our attachment to the outcome did. We end up blaming people, blaming circumstances, blaming ourselves, when the real issue was never life itself, but our attempt to make it fit into a narrow frame. We lose the ability to adapt. We lose the ability to surrender. We become so focused on making things happen that we forget how to let things happen. Control is exhausting. It puts us in a constant state of hypervigilance. Always thinking ahead. Always planning for the worst. Always trying to stay one step ahead of life. But here's the truth. Life doesn't follow your script. It was never meant to. And the sooner you make peace with that, the freer you become. There's a deeper issue beneath our obsession with control: fear. Fear of chaos. Fear of failure. Fear of rejection. Fear of being hurt. Control is our way of trying to protect ourselves from those possibilities. But the paradox is that control doesn't prevent pain. It only creates more of it. It closes us off from spontaneity, from connection, from joy. Because when you try to control every aspect of your experience, you leave no room for life to surprise you. You stop trusting others. You stop trusting yourself. You stop trusting the unfolding of life. The irony is that surrender feels terrifying until you do it. And then you realize it's not the fall you feared. It was the tension of holding on. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you truly let go? Not gave up, but surrendered. Not checked out, but released your grip. Can you remember how it felt? The lightness? The relief? The quiet peace of finally accepting that you don't have to manage everything? That's not weakness. That's power. Because real strength isn't about control, it's about resilience. It's about learning to stay centered even when life doesn't go your way. It's about being open to change. Being open to mystery. Being open to the idea that maybe you don't always know what's best for you. Maybe life has plans you can't yet see. Maybe the detour is the path. Maybe the unanswered prayer is the answer you actually needed. This brings us to one of the most liberating truths of all. You don't need to control everything to live a meaningful, fulfilling life. In fact, the less you try to control, the more life opens up to you. This doesn't mean you stop making decisions or setting intentions. It means you stop forcing. You stop resisting. You stop assuming that your way is the only way. You start working with life instead of against it. You start listening. Not just to your mind, but to your heart. To your intuition. To the flow of what's actually unfolding around you. You start trusting. Not blindly, but with a deep awareness that while you can't control every detail, you can always choose how you respond. And that's where your true power lies. Not in control but in response. Not in domination but in alignment. So today I invite you to pause, take a breath, and ask yourself, where in my life am I trying too hard to control? What am I afraid will happen if I let go? And what would it look like to trust, just a little more? Because control isn't the key to peace. Presence is. Control isn't the path to power. Acceptance is. You don't need to know every answer. You don't need to predict every outcome. You just need to be willing to show up, to let go, and to trust that life is not working against you. Even when you can't see the full picture. Even when everything feels uncertain. Even when the path ahead is still unfolding. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is surrender. Chapter 2: The Wisdom of Uncertainty. We fear what we don't know. We fear the dark, the unknown, the unanswered. We label uncertainty as danger, as something to escape, to fix, to figure out. But what if uncertainty isn't the enemy? What if uncertainty is the very ground where life grows? Think about it. Everything beautiful in life, love, growth, transformation, begins in uncertainty. No one falls in love with a guarantee. No one discovers their purpose on a clearly marked map. No one becomes who they're meant to be by staying inside what's safe and familiar. Uncertainty is not the problem. Our resistance to it is. We've been conditioned to equate certainty with safety. We want answers. We want plans. We want control. We want to know that if we take this job, this step, this relationship, it will work out exactly as we hope. But life isn't linear. It's wild. It's alive. It's unfolding moment by moment in ways we can't predict. And often, the more we demand certainty, the more anxious and frustrated we become. Because certainty is rarely real. And when we cling to it, we miss the richness of what's actually here. Let's be honest. We spend a lot of energy trying to eliminate uncertainty from our lives. We overthink every decision. We seek validation from others. We delay action until we're sure. But sure never really comes, does it? There's always some doubt, some fear, some risk. And that's not a flaw. That's the nature of being alive. To be human is to walk in mystery. To be human is to not know, and to do it anyway. That's not weakness. That's courage. There is a wisdom in uncertainty that control can never offer. Because when you surrender to the unknown, something powerful happens. You become more present. You become more curious. You become more open. Instead of clinging to how things should be, you start to discover how things actually are. You begin to trust the process instead of obsessing over the outcome. And in that trust, you find peace. Not because you figured everything out, but because you realized you don't need to. This is something the Stoics understood deeply. They didn't chase certainty. They chased clarity of mind. They trained themselves to respond to life, not to control it. Epictetus said, "Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens." What's in your power? Your attitude, your effort, your choices, your mindset. What's not in your power? Almost everything else. Including how people feel about you. Including what tomorrow will look like. Including whether your plan unfolds the way you imagined. Freedom begins when you stop trying to force what isn't yours to hold. Uncertainty is a gift. It invites you to soften. To stop pretending you have it all figured out. To stop living through assumptions, fears, and old stories. It asks you to listen, not just to your mind but to your heart. It opens a door to inner wisdom that certainty often silences. Because when you admit, "I don't know," you create space for something greater than you to move. Call it intuition. Call it faith. Call it life itself. When you stop trying to calculate every step, you allow life to co-create with you. You start to see new possibilities. You begin to receive instead of constantly chase. But let's also acknowledge the discomfort. Uncertainty is not easy. It can be disorienting. It can trigger anxiety, insecurity, impatience. The mind doesn't like blank space. It wants answers. It wants timelines. It wants guarantees. But here's the shift. You don't need to eliminate discomfort to move forward. You only need to hold space for it, to be with it. Can you sit with the unknown without rushing to escape it? Can you breathe through it instead of fighting it? Can you trust that life is still working, even when you don't have proof? Because it is. Always. Even when things fall apart. Even when your plans don't work out. Even when nothing makes sense. Yet. Some of the most profound spiritual traditions teach us the same thing. Let go. Surrender. Live in the mystery. Not because life is chaotic or cruel, but because the mystery is where truth lives. It's where your soul begins to awaken. It's where you remember that you're not here to control the ocean. You're here to learn how to ride the waves. Uncertainty isn't a threat, it's an invitation. An invitation to become more flexible, more grounded, more connected to what truly matters. Because when the external world feels unstable, you're forced to find stability within. That's the wisdom. That's the gift. So how do you begin to embrace uncertainty in daily life? You slow down. You breathe. You notice when your mind is spiraling into the future, and you gently return to the now. You stop asking, what if it goes wrong? And start asking, what if it goes better than I imagined? You stop looking for guarantees, and start building trust. Not blind trust in outcomes, but deep trust in yourself. In your ability to meet whatever comes with clarity, with courage, with grace. Because no matter what happens, you will face it. You will adapt. You will learn. You will rise. You always have. You always will. Let this truth sink in. Uncertainty is not a sign that something is wrong. It's a sign that you're in the middle of transformation. It means you're growing. It means you're evolving. It means you're living in a world that is alive, just like you. The more you resist the unknown, the more anxious you become. But the more you accept it, the more life opens up to meet you in unexpected, even miraculous ways. Let the unknown be sacred. Let it be a space where new truths are born. Let it shape you, not with fear but with trust. So if you're standing in front of a blank page, a major life choice, a moment of not knowing what's next, pause. And remember, you don't have to rush. You don't have to force. You don't have to know. You just have to stay open. Because something beautiful happens when you stop needing to predict the future. You start fully experiencing the present. And that is where all the power lives. Not in control. Not in certainty. But in presence. In trust. In the quiet wisdom of uncertainty. Chapter 3. Facing the Fear of the Unknown. Practical tools to work through anxiety and fear of what's next. We've all been there. That moment where the future feels like a giant question mark. The job is ending. The relationship is changing. The path ahead is blurry at best, and terrifying at worst. And in the silence of not knowing, fear creeps in. What if I fail? What if I choose wrong? What if I lose everything? This fear isn't just a passing thought. It's a tension in the chest. A tightness in the stomach. 1,000 scenarios playing on loop in the mind like a movie stuck on repeat. We think we're afraid of the unknown. But really we're afraid of our stories about the unknown. We fear what we imagine might happen. That's where the anxiety lives. Not in the future, but in our projection of it. Here's the truth most of us never learn. Fear of the unknown is not weakness. It's biology. Your brain is wired to protect you. It wants familiarity. It wants patterns. It wants the illusion of control because that feels safer. And when things change, your nervous system reacts. Fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. You don't choose that reaction, it's automatic. But what you can choose is what you do next. You can pause. You can breathe. You can notice, oh, this is fear talking. And then gently, kindly, you can decide not to let fear drive the car. Let's break this down into something practical. When fear of the unknown shows up, here are tools that work. Not just once, but as habits you can build over time. 1. Ground yourself in the present. Anxiety lives in the future. It's always about what might happen. So the first step is to return to what is. Ask yourself, what is real in this moment? What do I know for sure right now? What can I feel with my hands, see with my eyes, hear with my ears? This isn't denial. It's redirection. It's reminding your nervous system, I'm not in danger right now. I'm just uncomfortable. And I can handle discomfort. Use your breath as an anchor. Inhale slowly, hold, exhale fully. Repeat. Let that rhythm bring you back. You can't face the future from a place of panic. You face it from presence. 2. Name the fear. Fear thrives in vagueness. The more unclear it is, the more power it has. So name it. I'm afraid I won't succeed. I'm afraid I'll lose love. I'm afraid I'll be alone. Say it out loud. Write it down. Speak it without shame. Because naming it shrinks it. It becomes a thing you can work with, not something that works through you unconsciously. And when you name your fear, ask the next question. Is this fear true, or is it just familiar? Often, our fears aren't rooted in the present, but in old wounds. Childhood fears of abandonment. Past failures we never processed. Moments we internalized a belief that, I'm not good enough. So when fear speaks, don't just listen, inquire. Get curious. 3. Use the power of neutral imagination. Your mind is always imagining. When you're afraid, it tends to imagine the worst-case scenario on repeat. But here's the thing. If you can imagine the worst, you can also imagine something neutral, or even good. Try this. What is the best possible outcome in this situation? What's a neutral, peaceful outcome? Not amazing, not terrible, just okay. Can I be okay with not knowing which one it will be? This is where Stoicism comes in. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke." You can shift the mental movie. Instead of imagining failure, imagine growth. Instead of imagining rejection, imagine redirection. Instead of imagining falling apart, imagine rebuilding stronger. You can't always choose your circumstances, but you can choose your focus. 4. Anchor to your inner safety. Most of us try to find safety in external things: money, relationships, success. But what happens when those things shift? If your sense of safety is out there, you'll always feel one step away from falling apart. True safety is built within. It sounds like this: no matter what happens, I will support myself. Even if it's hard, I will get through it. I've survived uncertain seasons before. I'll do it again. This isn't toxic positivity. It's radical self-trust. It's standing on the ground of your own resilience, even when the world around you feels shaky. The more you anchor into you, the less you need guarantees from the world. 5. Take the next tiny step. When we fear the unknown, we often freeze. We wait for clarity. We want the full roadmap before we begin. But clarity doesn't come from overthinking. It comes from movement. You don't need to figure everything out. You just need the next step. Ask yourself, what is one small action I can take today? What is one thing I do have control over? Maybe it's sending the email. Maybe it's updating your resume. Maybe it's drinking water and going for a walk. It doesn't have to be big. It just has to be forward. Small steps create momentum. Momentum creates confidence. Confidence shrinks fear. And soon the unknown doesn't feel like a wall. It feels like a doorway. Let's come back to the essence of this. You are not supposed to eliminate fear. You are supposed to befriend it. To say, yes, I'm scared. And I'm still moving forward. Fear doesn't mean stop. It means something important is at stake. It means you're stretching, growing, entering new territory. Every breakthrough lives on the other side of uncertainty. And fear is the bridge. Cross it slowly. Cross it kindly. But cross it. In spiritual traditions, fear is seen not as an enemy but as a teacher. It shows us where we're attached, where we don't trust, where we still believe the illusion that we're not safe unless we're in control. But the soul knows better. The soul whispers, let go, lean in, trust what's unfolding. And every time you do, even in the smallest way, you expand. You become braver, more open, more alive. Not because the fear disappears, but because you learn how to walk with it. To close this chapter, here's what I invite you to remember. Fear of the unknown is part of being human. You don't need to fix it, you need to feel it, name it, and work with it. Ground yourself in the now. Anchor into inner safety. Take the next step even if it's small. And most of all, trust your capacity to adapt, evolve, and rise. You are stronger than your fear, wiser than your doubt, and braver than you know. The unknown isn't the end, it's the beginning, and you are ready. Chapter 4. Trusting the process. How to build faith in life, even when you don't see the full path ahead. There are moments in life when nothing makes sense. You've done the work. You've shown up. You've made the decisions you believed were right. And still, you're in a space of waiting. Doubt. Confusion. No visible rewards. No clear direction. Just the unknown stretching in front of you like fog on a long road. It's in these moments that trusting the process becomes not just a mindset, but a spiritual discipline. Because let's face it, trust is easy when things are going well. When the results are pouring in. When the feedback is positive. When the path is lit clearly, one step after another. But what about when the path disappears? What about when life doesn't follow your timeline? What about when your plans unravel? This is when real trust begins. We live in a world obsessed with control. We want guarantees. We want certainty. We want to know that every action will lead to the outcome we expect. But life doesn't work that way. Growth doesn't follow a straight line. Healing is not linear. And transformation rarely arrives when it's convenient. There is a deeper rhythm at play. A wisdom far older than your plans. And that wisdom is what we call the process. 1. The illusion of control. Let's start with something most people resist. You are not in control of everything. That's not defeat. That's liberation. You can control your choices. You can control your effort. You can control your attitude. But you cannot control the outcomes. You cannot control other people. You cannot control the timing. Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "Some things are up to us and some things are not." This is the heart of freedom. If you spend your life trying to control the uncontrollable, you will always feel anxious. But if you can surrender to what you can't control while still honoring what you can, you move into peace. Let go of the illusion that everything depends on you, that you must force life to unfold a certain way, that you must always know what's next. You don't. And that's okay. 2. Life happens in seasons. Imagine a tree in winter. It looks lifeless. Its branches are bare. Nothing is blooming. But underneath the surface, something vital is happening. The roots are growing deeper. The foundation is strengthening. Come spring, the growth will be visible. But in winter, the work is invisible. You are the same. There are seasons of outward success and seasons of inner development, times of movement and times of stillness, moments of clarity and long stretches of mystery. You don't need to rush the season you're in. Don't panic because you can't see the outcome yet. Don't quit just because the results haven't arrived. Don't doubt yourself just because it's quiet. What looks like nothing happening is often the most important part of the process. 3. The wisdom of setbacks. When things don't go your way, it's tempting to believe you've failed. You start asking, did I do something wrong? Should I have chosen differently? Is this a sign I'm not good enough? But pause. What if the setback is sacred? What if the delay is a redirection? What if the door closing is protection? What if this obstacle is exactly what you need to grow into the version of yourself that can hold what's coming? Trusting the process means not judging the chapter you're in. It means understanding that the whole story is still being written. Often, the worst thing that happens to us ends up leading to the best thing. You just can't see it yet. So don't rush to assign meaning too soon. Let the story unfold. 4. Building faith in the unknown. Faith isn't just for the religious. Faith is a deep knowing that there is order even in the chaos, that there is meaning even in the mess, that life is not random, it's intelligent, and you are a part of that intelligence. Here's a practice you can use when you feel overwhelmed by uncertainty. Take a breath, place your hand on your heart, and say, I don't know how this will unfold, but I trust that it will unfold for my highest good. Repeat it, feel it, not because it erases the doubt, but because it grounds you in something deeper than logic. This is not blind optimism. It's mature trust. It's the kind of trust that says, I know I'm doing my part. I know I'm aligned with growth. And I choose to believe that life is supporting me, even when I don't have the full picture. That's real faith. 5. Letting go of the timeline. Most of our suffering comes from unrealistic timelines. You think, I should be successful by now. I should be married by now. I should be healed by now. But where did those timelines come from? Society? Social media? Comparison? Let them go. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are exactly where you need to be for the evolution of your soul. Time is not your enemy. It's your ally. And life will give you exactly what you need when you're truly ready for it, not one moment before. Letting go of the timeline allows you to be here. To stop chasing an imaginary finish line. To start living fully now. 6. Taking aligned action. Trusting the process doesn't mean doing nothing. It means doing what's yours to do and releasing the rest. You show up. You put in the work. You act with integrity. You make decisions based on clarity, not fear. Then, you surrender the outcome. Trust is not passive. It's not laziness. Trust is action with peace. Effort without obsession. Movement without force. You still take steps, but you no longer grasp. You create space for life to meet you halfway. Let's come back to the core of this. You don't need to know how everything will work out. You just need to trust that it will. You don't need all the answers. You just need to stay aligned with truth. You don't need to rush. You just need to keep moving from a place of grounded faith. The process is not your enemy. It's your ally, your teacher, your guide. And even when it feels slow, frustrating, or unclear, something sacred is unfolding. Right now. Inside you. Around you. And if you can learn to trust that, you'll find peace even in the waiting. Chapter 5. Living in the Now. The connection between uncertainty and presence. How embracing it leads to true freedom. Let's begin with a truth that is easy to forget in the chaos of life. This moment, right here, is the only thing that's real. Not yesterday. Not tomorrow. Not even 10 minutes from now. Just now. But most of us live everywhere except here. We live in memories, in plans, in worries, in regrets, in what-ifs. And while we're mentally time traveling, life is passing us by. Uncertainty often feels threatening because we believe we must control the future to feel safe. But what if the real safety, the real power, lies in the present? What if living in the now is the most courageous thing you can do? 1. The addiction to the future. Let's be honest, most of us are addicted to the future. We believe that then is better than now. When I get the promotion, I'll be happy. When I meet the right person, I'll feel complete. When I have clarity, I'll feel at peace. But the future is always a step ahead, just out of reach. A dangling carrot we never quite catch. This creates anxiety, restlessness, frustration. Because no matter how much you chase, you never fully arrive. There's always something else to fix, to build, to accomplish, to change. So we spend our lives preparing for a life we forget to live. But here's the truth. If you can't find peace now, you won't find it later. Because later becomes a moving target. 2. Presence as power. What does it mean to be present? It means dropping into this moment fully, feeling your breath, hearing the sounds around you, noticing what you're thinking, but not getting lost in it. It's simple, but not easy. We've trained ourselves to avoid the present because it often reveals uncomfortable truths. That we're not in control, that we don't have all the answers, that we don't know what's coming next. But presence isn't about certainty. Presence is about aliveness. It's the only place where love exists, where joy is felt, where transformation happens. It's where you truly are. 3. The illusion of certainty. Here's a paradox. We chase certainty to feel safe, but we miss the now, and that's what actually makes us feel unsafe. Uncertainty isn't the enemy. It's our resistance to it that creates suffering. We think, I need to know how this will end. I need a 5-year plan. I need to be sure I won't fail. But life is not a problem to solve. It's a mystery to live. When you surrender your need for everything to be figured out, something powerful happens. You become grounded. You stop leaking energy into imaginary futures. You return to your center. The present moment becomes your anchor. And from that place, you can handle anything. For the Stoic view of the now. The Stoics believe that all we ever truly have is this moment. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not let your mind be a slave to the past or the future. Direct it to what is present, for this alone is your reality." To the Stoics, presence was a form of mastery. They didn't deny the future, but they didn't fear it either. They prepared for it with wisdom, but they didn't live in it with anxiety. They understood that what matters most is how you respond to this moment, because this moment shapes the next. The now is not just a place to rest, it's where you reclaim your power. 5. Spiritual presence. Spiritually speaking, the present moment is where the divine lives. Call it God. Call it the universe. Call it source, higher self, or simply presence. It doesn't dwell in yesterday's guilt or tomorrow's plans. It exists right here. Every breath is a chance to come home. Every moment is an invitation to awaken. Spiritual presence is not passive, it's alive. It sharpens your awareness. It deepens your compassion. It aligns you with truth. When you live in the now, you stop resisting what is. You stop running from what you feel. You start living from a place of truth, not fear. And that's where miracles happen. 6. Tools for living in the now. Let's explore some grounded ways to return to the present, especially when life feels uncertain. Breathe. Your breath is your anchor. It always happens in the now. When you're overwhelmed, close your eyes and take 5 slow, conscious breaths. Ground into your body. Feel your feet on the floor. Notice your posture. Touch something physical to bring your awareness back. Name what you see. Look around and mentally name 5 things you can see. This simple practice brings you out of your head and into your surroundings. Let thoughts pass. You don't need to believe every thought. Watch them come and go, like clouds in the sky. They're not who you are. Ask, what is real right now? Not what might happen. Not what happened before. But what is real, right here, right now? These tools won't remove uncertainty, but they will help you meet it with calm. 7. The gift of presence. Here's something radical. Uncertainty is a gift. It's what forces us to wake up, to stop coasting, to feel everything more vividly. It's what drives us to connect, to reflect, to be present. If everything were known and predictable, life would be dull, dead, mechanical. Uncertainty is what gives life color. It's what opens the door to wonder, curiosity, and growth. When you stop fighting the unknown and start living in the now, you don't just survive. You awaken. You begin to taste life, not just think about it. You begin to hear your intuition, not just your ego. You begin to trust, not in outcomes, but in your ability to respond. That is true freedom. So ask yourself now, can I allow this moment to be enough? Can I soften into the now, even if I don't know what's coming? Can I trust that the path will unfold one breath at a time? Living in the now doesn't mean giving up on goals. It means not abandoning yourself while you pursue them. Because this moment is where your life is, right now, not someday, not after the breakthrough, not after the clarity. No, breathe it in, feel it, live it. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today, exploring how embracing uncertainty and living fully in the present moment can bring true freedom and peace. Remember, life isn't about having all the answers or controlling every outcome. It's about showing up, here now, with courage, curiosity, and an open heart. If this episode resonated with you, please take a moment to share it with someone who might need to hear this message. Your support helps this community grow and reach more people on their journey to self-development and inner freedom. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet, so you never miss a new chapter on this path. Until next time, keep breathing, keep trusting, and keep living in the now. Take care.